Coming up on today's episode, the Mars 2020 rover gets a new name, Model Ys are starting to stack up at the Fremont factory, and the new Glenn reveals its fairing, and it's freaking huge. Let's get ludicrous. Hey there, and welcome to Our Ludicrous Future. This is the podcast where we talk about all the cool future stuff that's happening today that's going to make tomorrow totally ludicrous. Totally have that intro down. I'm Joe Scott with the Answers to Joe YouTube channel. With me today is Ben Sullins.
What's up, guys? It's Ben Sullins from Teslanomics, and we are Timless for the time being as he is traveling. So, sorry to everyone that was expecting him, but just us today. But we got lots of good news here. Lots of big things.
Who needs Tim?
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
More
sometimes
like the weekend
astronaut.
Did we both say the same thing?
How did we do that?
Did we
that
change
was.
okay.
Oh man,
That's
that's
a
it,
real
guys.
awkward start to this one. Where's Tim when you need him? Okay.
Well, I've got speaking of Tim, he had a flat tire recently, and as did I. So, Joe, you're next.
No, don't put that on me.
Oh, sorry. Apologies. I'll pay for it. No, I won't.
Put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
So if you guys follow me on the Insta, you'll know that I'm really bad at explaining things, as my wife constantly reminds me. And recently, I had an issue with a tire that no longer would hold air. Not sure how to describe that, but what was going on? I was taking my son to school, and I get a little notification in the car, and it's just as Tim described, tire pressure low, and then as I'm going, it just starts to drop rather quickly, and so I pull over all that, and these tires on my Model X, which is a P90D, very similar to how the Model S I had, where they're off camber, so they're angled in, and what that does is it puts a little bit of extra pressure on the inner wall, kind of the edge of where the wall and the flat part, the top of the tire meet. And so it rubs it kind of more than the outside of the tire. So the outside of the tire, if you guys are just listening, I'm showing the photo of it, looks fine, right? It doesn't really look, it's a little worn maybe, but it's not like the tread is showing, and it's, so the tire itself, the reason it was flat, conspiracy theories aside, the inner wall had a hole in it because the tread, the metal part of it, had just worn through and busted it. And then sure enough, as I went over to the other rear tire, same deal. It wasn't popped yet, but the tread was showing and it was basically just dead. And so, had to send that into Tesla, and they took care of it by replacing all four tires. I did that because the front two were also on their way out, and I'd rather just do it all at once instead of have to do this again in a few weeks. And that total was over $2,000 for four tires. And you may be thinking, I knew it. Tesla, electric cars. That's it. This is why I'm not buying one. You would be incorrect. The deal is that the tire itself, it was a Michelin Latitude Sport 3, and they're on these 20-inch rims, and I forget what the exact tire size was, but if you just wanted to buy those tires retail, they're about $450 each. And I even talked to a friend of mine who is a Michelin reseller, so he could get them, I don't know if he gets them at cost or what, but a discount, and he said he'd save me about $50 per tire by doing that, but then he'd have to order them. I'd be without a car for a week, so forget it. And they also did an alignment and then checkup and all the other kind of basic stuff they do. So there I am, $2,000 poorer. If you guys would like to support that, please go watch all of my videos on repeat, and it will help.
GoFundMe.
Yeah, I need a GoFundMe. No, so that's the kind of the larger story here. I was talking to my friend Rich Rebuilds, and he thinks that Elon sent some hitmen to slash my tires after my review of the Model X, where I said don't buy it. So the jury is a little out. There may be more to this story, so you'll have to go subscribe and again watch every single video on repeat, so that you can have the full context.
That all sounds reasonable.
Yeah. You never know.
So one of the little, I guess you could call it FUD that I'd heard, or reasons that people were sort of not down with electric cars is that I guess the extra torque is bad for the tires. This isn't that, right?
No. Well, no. So I don't know. I haven't heard that before. This is so if you buy a performance car, and maybe this is related to that. I don't know, but basically cars that go extremely fast, they typically angle the wheels where the kind of the bottom of the wheel is sticking out a little bit and the top is in. And they call that off camber. I think I had my alignment report here that showed me what it was before, but essentially what that means is that the inner part of the tire wears down sooner than the outer part of the tire, and it does wear down rather quickly. Like my Model S, I think I got 25,000 miles before I had to replace them, and a normal tire, kind of the cheapest or most durable one, is probably 50,000 miles. So you do have to replace tires in general faster on Teslas. I wouldn't put that on all electric cars, but every Tesla that you can think of would be considered a performance car compared to a regular gas car, right? Because even the slowest one is incredibly quick and all that. So I don't know if that's the same case on the Model 3 or not. I would certainly guess that's the case on the Performance Model 3, but I don't know if it's true for other ones. I mean, I guess some people have had their cars driven a ton of miles, but I haven't heard any stories like that.
Yeah. And this is the first time you've had tire problems with this car?
On the Model X, okay. Yeah. And I think I'm only at 14,000 miles on the Model X.
Oh, okay.
Now, the tires, though, weren't new when I got them, when I got the car. It was used, and I think the tires came off of another car. So...
Well, if they're used, they would have come off of another car, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they weren't on this car. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you're right.
Well, so, Tim drives so much that him having tire problems, I can kind of get that. Yeah. And I didn't know what your situation was. I'm just preparing for my car to start to have issues with tires. Yeah. But I don't drive my car that much, so...
Yeah. So, and which tires do you have? Do you know just the ones they gave you?
Yeah, whatever came on it.
Yeah, because if you look at the
and I don't have special wheels or anything. They're just the.
Yeah, like the ones I have on my Model 3 are the Michelin Pilot Sport 4S, which I think a lot of people, I've been told by car people, are like the best tires you can buy for traction and those kind of things. And those are around for my car are around $250 to $300 per tire. So 4 of those racks up to $1,200. This, I don't know what it is about the Latitude Sport 3, but it's just $450 a tire. And so that's pretty standard. So yeah, things can add up, and tires have always been a thing that I've always been shocked by how expensive they are. Now, really? You can buy cheap, crappy tires, but I personally don't recommend that, especially not on a performance vehicle. So,
I've always just gone to Discount Tire.
Now, and have they done your Tesla there? Because
no.
There was this whole news story about Discount Tire were turning people away. Because Tesla, now I don't know, I haven't seen it in Model 3, but in the Model X and Model S, on the inner part of the tire, they actually put this foam. And it's really just like a basic piece of foam lining to help reduce road noise. Okay. So it's like insulation inside of the tire. And I don't know if Tesla just buys the tires and then they add that, or if Michelin or whomever make them that way for them, or what the deal is. My friend Dan from What's Inside did a video cutting open a Tesla tire, and that's what they had. And so since that, Discount had, there was a whole story about it where Discount had said that they will not do Tesla tires. So I'm pretty sure that's not universal. I'm sure somebody has out there, but there was a thing. So for me, when I looked up the price of the tire and Tesla said, oh, it's, this is basically the same price. I'm like, fine, I'll have you guys do it, and you'll, do the alignment and all the checkups and all the things.
So, I mean, should I run into problems? Would you recommend I take it into the Tesla dealership or call them or let them do their thing?
I would. Yeah, okay. I just did roadside assistance from Tesla through the app, and that actually worked surprisingly well.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, the guy was there in, 15 minutes or something like that, so... I would just go through the Tesla app and then just see what they say. Now, they'll give you a quote, and if, it's crazy expensive or it seems crazy, then maybe shop around a little bit. But, I don't think Tesla's trying to really, make money on you here, right?
It's just there's I mean, I guess I'm still kind of new to the Tesla thing, and it's like all these things like that I would just normally go to Discount Tire. I always had really great experiences with them, and didn't think they were too expensive or anything. I don't know. It's like I'm like, do I do that or do I need to go through? Because I'm driving this like spaceship, you know.
The only thing I'm not sure of for you is if the tires have that insulation added to them.
Yeah.
And because I know in the S and X they have that I wanted to make sure I went to Tesla for it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if the Model 3 is that way or not. But it might be some, I would probably just have it Tesla, take it to Tesla. They'll come tow you, do whatever, and then see what they say and ask.
I guess that's what the roadside assistance thing is all about. And that's what it's there for.
Yeah, exactly.
So I wonder if the Model Y would have the foam in their tires.
Well, we do have a lot of new photos here from the Fremont factory about the Model Y. Well. I wonder. There's a photo of a tire here.
There it is.
They didn't.
Can somebody X-ray that photo?
No, so if you guys find a Model Y out there, we need an answer on whether or not there's foam. So carry a very large knife with you, and please just slash it open for us so we can see what's inside. Okay?
A Tesla branded machete.
That was a joke. I know my jokes are coming across.
Someone out there's like, I will slash tires for you.
Like, I'm going to the store right now. You know, it'd be better than that. A gun. I'm gonna go get a gun and just shoot the tire. America.
See if any foam comes out.
See, this is a weird place we're going. Tesla Fremont factory is swarming with Model Y SUVs ready for delivery, coming to us from Clean Technica. I contest the SUV title here.
CUV? Is that a better?
Model 3 hatchback.
And they have swarm mode. That's new. I didn't know about that.
Swarm mode, yeah. So there's some photos here coming to us from some Twitters. The Model Y looking clean. Oh, this is at Hawthorne. I know where this is. So here's those new tires. I actually really like these rims.
Yeah, that's kind of nice.
It's like the turbine, but not exactly. Someone needs to wash this thing. And then, there's your tire size. Woohoo. Now, this guy with the Andrew Yang math hat, I really appreciate taking photo in front of it to see exactly how tall it is. So it's pretty cool because I think this shows, it's much taller than the Model 3 is.
Yeah, definitely.
And I am looking forward to that. I really like that. I think the Model Y is going to be such the best Tesla ever
so what
made.
is the around the tire there, that sort of trim around the tire and the wheel well? Yeah, that.
Does your Model 3 not have that?
Does it?
It's like a plastic trim. So we're looking at a photo here.
I have to go back and look at my car.
Well, let's see. So my Model X has it. You can see there. See that? Yeah, usually they have kind of a plastic trim around the tire itself.
That's how little I pay attention to my own car. Does it have a steering wheel? I think it has a steering wheel.
Yeah. Now, I do not like how the huge gap there. It'd be nice to lower this thing a little bit or get some bigger rims on there to make it look a little nicer, which I will not be doing at all because this is my wife's car and I am not allowed to touch it other than probably putting tint on it and some basic stuff. But yeah, so we got some photos, Fremont factory. We got some Model Ys coming direct to you. Thank you to all the people that responded to my query on the interwebs about getting one so I can do a review very early on. I've secured one, so stay tuned for a review. Probably, not a full review, just a first impression, hopefully right around March 15th timeframe.
Nice.
Tesla has said that they're being pretty tight-lipped about this, though, so we're not, I don't know if they're letting anyone review things early in terms of the Model Y, but as soon as it gets delivered, I will be there filming, doing the thing that you all pay me to do.
So they're not going to have like a big launch reveal thing or anything?
Doesn't appear so. And I know Ryan McCaffrey of Ride the Lightning podcast asked Elon Musk that on the Twitters, and I did not see a response. So I guess not. If so, that would be, it would be kind of, it's, who knows? Because a lot of times the events, they send the invites out a week before
Oh, right.
But I imagine that would, since people are getting the invites and it's asking them to, choose a delivery date, and everybody's choosing March 15th, which is a Sunday, the event would have to be next week. Or it would have to happen after customer deliveries were happening. So
maybe we'll just start seeing them on the roads.
Yeah,
maybe.
Probably. Yeah, and I've heard from different folks I know that have different kind of connections there that, they made a ton of them and that they're shipping them and they're out there. So we're going to see this thing here real soon.
So should we take anything from the fact that they got this out so much sooner than we all thought they would? Like, is that like a big deal? It feels like a big deal to me, and nobody's really making that big of a deal out of it.
Yeah, so there's a couple things about the Model Y that are, from a manufacturing standpoint, assuming they were able to do them, very big deals. One is what's called they call the flex circuit. Right. And this is like a type of wiring that reduces the amount of wires and things that you need to actually make the car run. And it's like an order of magnitude. So if I remember the numbers correctly, someone fact check this, but the Model S and X were like 3 kilometers of wiring. Yeah. The Model 3 was like 1 kilometer or 1.5, something like that. And the Model Y was 100 meters. So like an insane reduction in the amount of wiring, which means it's cheaper, it's faster, it has less things that can go wrong. And so this is when Elon had previously talked about the manufacturing revolution or whatever, This is one of the things. And then there was something about the stamping. I don't remember exactly, but they were able to like stamp it in like 4 pieces and just snap it together or something. It was
didn't they have a machine that was literally just like done?
Yeah, exactly. So in theory, if those things are working now, my understanding, though, is that those pieces are not in place yet in terms of that stamping thing and all that. I believe most of these cars here were sort of not bespoke, but they were kind of made on the Model 3 line as, first test cars and then some early production cars. I think a lot of it is they want to get these out in customers' hands, not necessarily. And then probably May or June is when we'll see all that other stuff come together, and then the production. So on the earnings call, so at the end of Q1, which is at the end of March, we're going to have a call, or we're going to learn a lot more the first week of April. Mm-hmm. And then the earnings call won't be till May or the very end of April, so right around then. So in that time frame, we're going to learn a whole lot about where they're at with the Model Y. So it may be more of a symbolic thing, almost like a marketing thing to say we did it in Q1 versus the manufacturing lines are up and running fully and we're producing 7,000 a week or something crazy like that. I think there might be a little disconnect there is my guess. Yeah.
I just Tesla has always notoriously been late on things, it's always like Elon time, right? Like it's something that's so optimistic and they never quite make it. And that's something that people are always like, I mean, we kind of laugh about, but the anti-Tesla people are like, they can't do anything on time. And now here they are like launching something months earlier. And to me, it's just like, what is happening? Like this is so anti everything that we've seen them do in the past 10 years. And I mean, it's great, but to me, it just feels like this is a turnaround moment, maybe,
Yeah, it's an interesting question, and that's what I wonder about. Because when the Model 3 first came out, it wasn't like a bespoke thing. Like they had to set up a new line to do it, so that was insanely hard. Like the hurdle there was really high for them to clear in order to just even start making one. Now that this car and the Model Y and the Model 3 share something like 70% or more of the same parts and everything, it wouldn't be seemingly that difficult to do a run of a few thousand through the Model 3 line. And so I think hopefully that that's I think where the disconnect is like now they could spin this up and just pump out a few thousand here and there and be like, look, we're doing it, but we're not at scale yet. So I think it'll be an interesting question to see when they actually reach scale, because that'll be at some point down the road. Now, but you're right. It is shocking that this is incredibly early. No, I mean, because they had said fall 2020, which doesn't end till December 21st, technically. So that was basically the day I had originally thought, that's when we'll start seeing Model Y, right before Christmas. I just wish they would also do this thing of like getting things done early with the Roadster. That would be my preference if they wanted to pick, because we've got the Model S Plaid edition coming as well, and they said I think later this year they were going to do production on that. So there's a lot. I mean, there isn't like a new model coming out that they've not announced yet, but there are updates and other big things happening. Like Roadster, Semi, the ATV, Cybertruck. There's a lot still on their kind of product roadmap here that they've not really even started on.
Right.
So if they can start doing this with other products, I would be really impressed, and I would love to see, some of those other things come to market sooner.
So it kind of sounds like you're saying Model Y is sort of a cheat.
That's what I'm saying. I wonder if it's like a kind of a marketing thing.
Yeah.
If they can just run through. I mean, it's still great that they're doing it. I'm not bashing. I'm not,
sure.
Criticizing them. But I'm saying, like, let's not confuse having your lines at the factory up and running full scale versus doing a quick batch of 1,000. Those are two different accomplishments.
Sure. Still, it's going to be cool seeing them out there.
Yeah, absolutely. If anything, it's going to build the buzz, and I think that's where it's going to really, just cement. I still firmly believe this is going to be the most sellingest Tesla that ever. Probably
careful with those
within a couple
technical
years.
terms. You're going over our audience's head.
Isn't sellingest a word? I think it is.
The most sellingest.
Okay, now that's wrong. Oh man. I guess you're right. Sellingest, the most sold.
Sounds like a prize a salesperson would win at some corporate sales rally.
You're the sellingest guy in our team.
Bob Brasky, or whatever that Saturday Night Live thing. Bill Brasky. Bill Brasky. I'm old. Okay. Anything else on Model Y?
I think that's it for
Model Y. Is that the gist of it?
That's the gist of it. It's exciting. Stay tuned. Lots of stuff coming. We also have some other stuff going on with Tesla, but we can switch over to your space news if you'd like.
We have space news. So we actually, for those who are listening on Discord, our Patreons on Discord, thank you guys. Welcome. Hi. We got a few people listening. How you doing? Okay. We actually started recording a little bit late, and this is... I'll take the blame. It's kind of my fault because I wanted to include this. But the Mars 2020 rover has a name. So the Mars 2020 rover has been called Mars 2020 for like 4 years now, something like that. And it's sort of like Curiosity on steroids. It is basically, it looks like the Curiosity rover. Yeah, they should have just called it Curiosity on steroids. But they just kind of been going with Mars 2020 all this time. And then today they finally announced the name. And let me switch over here so we can show the people who have eyeballs what this looks like. Like they were literally doing this as we were getting ready to record. They were announcing the name is... See if I can time this just right. Or am I going to sit here and wait? I don't have the audio on here. It's called Perseverance. I was trying to time it just right. I didn't time it very well. They named it Perseverance. They did it through this. They did a competition, a contest with like students submitting names. They got like 28,000 entries, and they chose Perseverance. So Perseverance joins Curiosity, Opportunity, and Spirit. Those are the most previous ones that came out. Obviously, Viking way back in the day. But the 2020 rover is going to be pretty cool. It's going to, like I said, it's a lot like Curiosity, which has been like an amazing vehicle. And we got a little bit of news on that one too. We can talk about here in just a second. But it's also going to have a sample return, which is kind of weird. I don't fully understand it myself. Like they're going to collect samples and then like leave it there for future missions to come get it and fly it out.
Versus just them collecting them when they go?
They're basically going to put it in a little baggie and set it in a spot, and then later on, missions will come and pick them up and take them away. So there's not going to be anything on the rover that will launch it back to Earth or anything like that. That's for a future mission. But it is going to have a helicopter.
Yeah, this was the interesting thing. I remember hearing about it.
See if there's some animation in this clip here somewhere.
It's not a drone. technically. Well, I guess it would be a drone.
Well, it's a special kind of, like, I shouldn't even call it a helicopter. It's got a different name. Oh, they got a little toy Rover there for that kid. That's the kid that named it right there. Sorry, kid. I don't know your name. But I hesitate to call it a drone or a helicopter because the air is so thin on Mars that it's got to be like this special design. It's almost more like a dragonfly or something. It's got these giant blades on it. But it's going to be pretty cool. I think it's supposed to go up this year, which is why they called it the 2020 Rover. I don't know what it's going up on. I didn't bone up on all my...
Did Mark Rober have anything to do with this? Because if not, I'm out.
I don't think he worked on this one. Although he's probably using some of the technology he helped work out, on the Curiosity rover.
He did do a video or some photos or something with it, though, here on Earth.
Oh, the 2020? I'm sorry, Perseverance. Now that we know its name. I don't know. I'd have to go look at it. I'm not an encyclopedic knowledge of Mark Rober videos.
Yeah, shame on you.
Is that the video where he took the rover and had people steal it from his front porch and then it like glitter bombed them?
Yep.
Something like that.
That's where NASA gets, that's the inspiration. Oh, there you go. That's the helicopter thing.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, oh man, the thing is insane. Okay, so they collect the sample thing. I would be very curious to learn more of as to why that makes sense. Like, wouldn't you, the new thing that comes to collect the samples, just like do it right then, or?
Yeah, why can't it just collect the samples? I don't know.
Because I mean, chances are it comes, it lands. It's like, oh crap, I got to go all the way over there. And I can just do it right here.
Well, and so the thing about...
let's have some specialized equipment to do it or something like that.
Yeah, well, so the thing about Curiosity and this one is that obviously being a rover, they can move it wherever they want it to go. They put it in special places where they can find out more about the past on Mars, where there might have been standing water at one point. There could have been life at some point. They're not willy-nilly about it. They very specifically pick out where these things go. So... I guess that's the upside of having a rover, that you can actually just land and drive it around and find the stuff that you want to find.
Yeah, I was curious because they didn't we land something there this year or 2019 that isn't a rover?
Was that the Phoenix lander? There was a Phoenix lander, and
right.
and it had the Insight. Actually, the Phoenix was a different one. Sorry, I'm getting all confused on my Mars landers. The Insight one actually had like a ground, like ultrasound kind of thing that could see into the ground and get an idea of what's going. Insight, yeah. Did I get that right?
Phoenix is from 2008.
Okay. Okay, I'm off, but they're the right names.
Hey. Yeah.
People are screaming at me in their cars right now. So that's cool. We got a name.
Yeah.
All Perseverance now instead of 2020.
And another rover that's currently already on Mars just also gave us a little gem.
Yeah, let's look at this.
This is a 1.8 billion pixel panorama photo from NASA's Curiosity rover. It captured its highest resolution panorama of the Martian surface between November 24th and December 1st, 2019. So it took like quite a few days to do this. Now, this is nearly 1.8 billion pixels, and a version with the rover contains nearly 650 million pixels. So this thing is... I'm going to share my screen. I don't know. Can you guys... Does that make sense? Can you see this? We'll put a link to this so you guys can check it out. It's basically just the most high-resolution image of Mars that you've ever seen here. I'm actually more interested kind of in the rover.
Yeah,
what does this thing do?
It's had some wear and tear on it over the years.
Yeah. So if you guys check out a link in the description or the show notes there.
Yeah, look at the wheel right there. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Got a big hole in it.
Where? Right here?
I think it was on the other side.
Yeah, anyways, this is just really fascinating here, and you can kind of zoom in and you can see just really, really detailed. This is like they sent the Samsung S20 up with them. 100x zoom kind of a deal here. Yeah, looks cool.
That's a Schiaparelli crater, I think is how it's pronounced, or Schiaparelli.
Mark Watney, call him up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really awesome. And I mean, this to me, I don't know your thoughts, Joe, but it's a thing. Like, I feel like a big part of the success of programs, just of things like NASA in general, is getting people excited about it, and things like this do that. Mm-hmm. Collecting now, all the other work is super important and valuable, but there's a ton of work that happens that no one ever knows about, and even if they did know about it, they wouldn't care at all. So it's nice to see things like this, which I think people do get very excited about, even if you're not already kind of, interested in this stuff. So it's nice to kind of top of the funnel, like bring people in. So I hope that, we get more awesome things like this, because that's just really, really cool to see all the detail there.
Yeah, I agree. I think especially when you look at the way Hubble has kind of opened up the universe to us and given us a whole different picture of where we are and, how everything works, that's kind of like a high level getting people excited in it. And obviously if you're a kid and you get excited in that kind of thing, then you grow up and you contribute to all that and, kind of move society forward. That's awesome. But there's also all the spin-offs that come from NASA over the years. Like they have to be in the cauldron and the death frozen wasteland of space. They have to like innovate all these different things to be able to survive out there and to make things work that filter down to us here, that like so many things that we experience and take for granted and are just a part of our daily lives that, Velcro, things like Velcro. I mean, just little things like that.
GPS, there's
a huge list. I mean, I think every year they do a catalog, or it used to be a catalog. I'm sure it's more of a website now, but of NASA spin-off technologies.
Mm-hmm. Because there aren't a lot. I feel, this is more my kind of cynical view, having spent a lot of time in Silicon Valley. Cynical view, Silicon. That's a lot of
your
weird
Silicon
things.
View.
Yeah,
of Cynical Valley.
We have so many companies and people, really smart people, working on things that are just they're just rehashing of the same things, and there isn't a lot of actual invention or breaking new ground in areas.
Yeah.
Like filters for Snapchat is like a thing that you have some really incredible people working on that, like, it adds very little to humanity. So it is, things like this I think are super important, even though like the pursuit of NASA is not to make profit. There are, as you mentioned, a lot of technologies that come out of that, that do make a lot of profit. And so I think if it maybe seems at odds at times, the idea of spending money on these things versus just, being capitalist and making money, like whatever said we should. There is a crossover there, and it is valuable beyond that. And so to me, I go back to why I love seeing like this photo, is because so many people are going to get excited about that stuff because of that.
And the thing about that particular photo, it looks like it could have been taken in Utah. I mean, well, it just looks like a.
Don't feed him.
Oh,
don't feed him,
here we
Joe.
go. Here we go.
Don't start that.
I saw
Mark
a wagon
Rover
wheel
was
off in
there.
the distance there.
Yeah,
a little tumbleweed. But it just kind of brings Mars a lot closer to home. It makes it feel more like a place that you could actually go to, and
which is
to
a
me,
terrible
it kind of
idea,
connects us to the rest of the solar
heard.
system. It is. Count me out for a very long period of time, anyway. But
yep. Oh man,
1% atmosphere.
Yeah, I think I'm good. But speaking of going places and coming back from them, it's kind of like when Tesla took away someone's autopilot and then they gave it back to them. That was a terrible segue.
Oh, they got it back.
Yeah, and this speaks to, in fact, this was supposed to be a transition to our Why Don't They Just today.
Ah, there you go.
This comes from Andrew Kaler. I think that's how you say it. Otherwise, it's Andrew Kaler, which would be kind of weird. But anyways.
Andrew K. Ayler?
Andrew, from Discord. Thank you for the
W.
support.
K. Ayler?
Just picking apart. You could just have a whole show just doing that. Andrew asks, I would suspect, I'm sorry, this is not even the right question. This was a response to the question of, see, I'm not good at this, Tim.
We're doing good.
We need you. The question was, why doesn't Tesla just make full self-driving a subscription instead of a one-time purchase? And that actually comes from Wes Magyar, Magyar.
Yeah, Wes.
So, Wes, thank you for the question, and Andrew, shout
Sorry
out
we
to
screwed
you.
it up.
Yeah. So, Wes asks, why don't they make full self-driving a subscription model? Joe, what do you think?
Well, it kind of sounds like a leap forward into the Tesla network once upon a time in the future when that happens. I mean, it sounds like a plan to me. Can you think of a reason why it's a bad idea?
There is sort of an economic reason why you wouldn't do it, but like the business model and the service makes sense that you would have those two things mirror each other, meaning like I'm paying monthly for this and you are continuing to develop it monthly, right? Even if you don't have people touching the software, the data is being collected, ingested into the machine learning models. Those are being improved upon. Those are being re-released. Like even if it was completely automated from their side, there's still a service that's running that's improving the thing I'm getting. So I think having those two things align would make a lot of sense. From an economic standpoint, or I guess from a business finance standpoint, it doesn't. You would rather have the money now, is the answer, because just the time value of money. So having $1,000 today is better than having $1,000 in the future. It's going to be worth more. So if I can get $7-8 grand now, that may be like having a $49 subscription service for 10 years or something in terms of the time value of money. You know, I don't know exactly how that works out, but you get the idea. Like from a company that is cash strapped and needs money to develop and build these things, it makes more financial sense to do it, to just give me a big lump sum now than it does to do that. I very much could see them in the future saying, hey, if you bought it up front, then it's good, it's yours forever. But people in the future will have to actually subscribe to that service. So
like once it's actually functional and working.
Yeah, I could totally see, just like, you know, you could buy an album for $40 or you could pay $10 a month for Spotify, right? So it's a thing where, you know, both models do make sense, but in terms of having cash now, that's going to be more beneficial to a company like Tesla that, you know, has a huge capital requirement when it comes to doing anything. So that's my guess as to why. But I do think that could change in the future.
So I didn't get the full self-driving because I didn't want to buy something that didn't exist yet. So what's going on in my head is like when they get that up and running. First of all, I would need to get the new hardware, wouldn't I? I would need the new chip,
which I think is included
in newer ones.
No, I think if you buy the upgrade, you get it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. Like, they would need to go in and actually replace the
correct.
The
and
unit.
Tim just got his, he said, or I think he said when they were doing his car.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's like, was it 5,000 now, or is it 7,000? It's 7,000.
Mm-hmm. And so, and my recommendation to most people has been not to buy it until you get to the point where you know you're going to keep that car for a long time.
Right.
And just in recent months, we've started to see any kind of separation between regular autopilot and full self-driving stuff. So prior to that, it was the exact same features, meaning there was zero value to buying full self-driving. And there were even people that sued Tesla, and I think they won, saying that you didn't give me that I paid for this, and you said it would be ready within 2 years, and it's not, zero things have happened related to that. I think it's been smart to not buy it to this point. We are at the point now where there are features that are different if you do buy it, and hardware that's different. And if so I think we're just at the very beginning of the separation between regular autopilot, which is included in every Tesla you buy now, and the full self-driving options. Now, you could probably argue about whether or not those features are useful, whether or not you'll trust them, how long until the thing actually can drive itself. I mean, I still think we're 10 years away at least for that to be a reality. Even for the technology, I would say we're 5 to 7 years out. And I know, the hardcore fanboys will disagree with that. However, there is someone, if you don't want to believe me on that, go listen to Lex Friedman talk.
Yeah.
Because he is right in line with my thinking of it's way down the road. Teslas and what they can do now is incredible. It's actually astonishing how good it is, but still to get to that 100% is like it's a long, long road.
Yeah, there's a better way to word this than what I'm about to do, I'm sure. But the whole like getting to where we are right now might be like 90% of the way, but the first 90% is maybe 10% of the actual work, and the last 10% is 90% of the work. What is that, Paretos Law or whatever? Like
correct.
Like that long tail edge case thing. Like that's going to take way longer than I think.
Yeah,
I think we saw so much advancement so fast that we were like, yeah, we got this, and it's like, no, it's like the big long stretch ahead of us before we're really there.
Yeah. So that's Paretos Law. People also call the 80-20 rule, which, just to be clear, in case anyone listening has any misunderstanding about that, because in business, I've heard people misquote what this means. It means you get 80% of your results from 20% of your effort. So if you think of it from like a profit standpoint, it could mean 80% of your profits come from 20% of your customers, kind of a thing. It doesn't mean you do 80% and the rest of it will work itself out, which is how I've heard people say that. I'm like, what are you talking about?
That is
and
not
you're talking
what it means.
to a data guy. Anyways, so that's what that means.
There's also like 20% of your customers will cause 80% of your headaches.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Yeah. And you can actually model this in data. It's a really fascinating thing to do for business processes, just to even see where you're at. Because it's not like a law that's always true, but that concept applies to almost any type of business or engineering work or whatever. So we have
it's like one of those golden ratio things.
Yes, exactly.
You just kind of see it everywhere once you're familiar with it.
And this whole concept, this 80-20, the Paretos Law and all this, and the excitement behind all of this stuff, you could trace a direct line back to the basically the founding of machine learning. What happened was in computer vision, where we're trying to teach computers to see what images are, they had been developing algorithms to try to do that for years. And the percentage accuracy was something like in the 70s. And then Google came out and had this, I think it was called ImageNet. And what they did is they had millions of photos, and those photos were tagged with what was in the photo. So this one's a tree, this one's a dog, right? And they built the very first machine learning model. And that model took us from 70-something% accuracy on computer vision of telling, having the computer guess what's in a photo, to like 85% accuracy. Now, all the times that they had previously done these kind of annual tests and competitions, the winners were up by like 0.5%, 1%. So we were going from like 60 to 61 to 61.5. And then Google comes along with this machine learning approach, a different approach than coding, okay, if it has a round shape in the top, that means it's this. Instead of coding the rules, we just told the computer, hey, this is what it is, this is what that means, figure it out. And then you give it a new one, and it jumped up by like 10 or 12%. And that is where, machine learning may have existed before that, the whole concept, but that is where it was like, oh, this is why whoever has the data is the one that's going to achieve these things first, which is why Google is unstoppable, when it comes to this stuff. And in terms of self-driving, Tesla is, light years ahead of other people. It doesn't matter that other automakers can have full self-driving things in a geofenced area. That's not relevant at all here. The only thing that matters is how much data you have. So it's a tangent, but hopefully educational one.
It's a learning tangent. Speaking of learning, do you want to talk about today's sponsor for just a second?
Yay! I like sponsors.
All right. Well, today's ludicrous sponsor is Skillshare. They're kind of our always ludicrous sponsor. They're very ludicrous. Skillshare is an online learning platform with literally thousands of courses for some of the top experts in their fields. Are you like me and you feel like you're always playing catch up? Were you up till 2 o'clock in the morning last night trying to finish a script that should have been done last week like me?
Maybe.
Then maybe we should both check out the course Simple Productivity: How to Accomplish More with Less, taught by Greg McEwen, the author of the New York Times bestselling book Essentialism.
Ooh, that is a good book.
Are you pretty good with productivity? You seem like a good productivity kind of guy.
I just don't sleep.
Yeah.
See, I have kids, so I'm just never allowed to sleep, and so I'm up at 3 a.m.
You're gonna play the kid card, I see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of the few cards I have. Now,
just one of the few benefits.
Doing a quick search on Skillshare, I do also find that they have a lot of machine learning courses here.
Oh, there you go.
So,
see, that would have been a better. That would have been a better segue.
Yeah, they have one here: data science and machine learning with Python. Python, if you don't know, is a programming language that is widely used in machine learning and data science. So,
or you could teach your snake how to read. So, in this course, Greg talks about how to focus on quality instead of quantity, how to control your own time, spend your energy deliberately, and craft an intentional life that works. This, of course, is just one of the hundreds of courses on Skillshare covering everything from business essentials, graphic design, marketing, video production, cooking. Basically, if you're interested in it, Skillshare has a class about it and you can learn to be an expert. So join the millions of students already learning on Skillshare today with a special offer just for our listeners. Skillshare is offering our Ludicrous Future listeners 2 months of unlimited access to thousands of classes for free. To sign up, go to Skillshare.com/OLF. Again, go to Skillshare.com/OLF. And for the third time, 2 months, you can learn enough to be a Bond villain if you go to Skillshare.com/OLF. So thank you to Skillshare for supporting this channel, and you guys go check it out if you haven't. Skillshare is actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I like them. And I was in that space for a long time, and I'm impressed with what they've been able to do.
Right, yeah. That's kind of where you got your start, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was the chief data officer at a company similar to them.
Yeah. Well, I've got some video that video has not been, or even images have not been very forthcoming about the New Glenn, the Blue Origin New Glenn spaceship, space rocket, space thing. What do you call a rocket?
Well, we learned last week what a rocket is, and it could be anything. So
it's true.
Whatever.
Well, so Blue Origin put this video out just in the last few days showing the new 7-meter New Glenn fairing. I don't know if you can hear that, but I just can't.
Fairing?
The fairing. Did I say fairing?
Fairing. This is a feral.
So look at this. The new Shepherd could fit. I got to back that up. You got to see that. Sorry, anybody who's just listening. The new Shepherd could fit inside the New Glenn's fairing.
My God.
How insane is that?
So give me some numbers here. So 60 feet or 18 meters. Is that right?
Okay, so that's for the new Shepherd. Yeah, it's 18 meters tall, 60 feet tall. New Glenn is 321 feet tall, 98 meters.
Wow. So that's a 30-story building.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
This is the thing that I think, and I'm just going to let this play so people can have something to look at because it's kind of cool. I think people don't realize this about the New Glenn, and especially Blue Origin, because we see they've been doing the new Shepherd, and it's kind of a little dinky, dildo-shaped craft, and everything that Blue Origin's doing is so secretive, and we don't get to see anything. This is really kind of wild that we get to look at something here. But the New Glenn is, I think we're kind of in our minds comparing it mostly to the Falcon 9. It is so much bigger than the Falcon 9.
It's twice the size.
Yeah,
right?
they're really kind of leapfrogging the Falcon 9. It's really more of a Starship-sized rocket. And whether they'll come out with this before the Starship, we don't know because we're not really seeing much out of them. We don't know what's coming next. But take a look at this picture here. That's the Falcon 9 versus the New Glenn.
Yeah. And this is this is Jeff Bezos, right? Something Gally said at Fully Charged Live I thought resonated with me. He said, Jeff Bezos doesn't lose. Like, he doesn't fail. Like, when he does something, it works and it wins. So the fact that they're taking seemingly forever might be along those lines where, Elon is like let's push it out, go fast, go hard, like make things happen. It just doesn't sound like that's how Bezos does things, and maybe that's why it's taken so long. But a high degree of confidence that whatever they do is going to work and just be great. So
yeah, well, their slogan is gradatum ferociter, which is like step by step ferociously. Got it. So that's their entire motto is like they're the turtle. They're going to go a little bit at a time, but they're going to get there. And this also just came out today before we got on here. The New Glenn first stage tank production. So this is actually really exciting that they're starting to show us stuff. Yeah. And so I really feel like someday we're just going to like wake up one morning and there's going to be a New Glenn on a launch pad. And it's just like, happened? Holy crap, Now, I wonder if part of the reason, are we to blame, Joe? I think we're to blame. We'll say we, the royal we, but more so we're talking about Tim. Because, you think about it, like, if you show me an electric car and I get to go see it or anything about it, I'll form an opinion. I'll share that opinion. Hundreds of thousands of people are going to be listening to that and absorbing it, possibly adopting my view on it when they have had zero chance to actually like present it in the way that they want to. So right. I don't fault a company for being more closed-lipped or tight-lipped about it. And the fact that, it's coming from Bezos gives me hope that it's going to be a real thing. But Rivian's kind of like that, where you're like, they don't really share much. They're pretty quiet, but every time you see it, you're like, oh, that's great. Like, let's do more of that. And when I talked to him, that's kind of was, reading between the lines a little bit about, like, they don't want to just let everyone in and then have the social media destroy the company because some idiot went on some tangent about I'm talking about me, and then everyone else hates him now or something like that. You know? Well, it's a really interesting dichotomy between the two, between SpaceX and Blue Origin. Like, they just could not be more different in the way that they do what they do. I mean, SpaceX is literally building a ship in a tent out in the open where there's just people with cameras trained on it all day long, 24 hours a day. And every time, the hyper focus on this production of this ship, it's enthralling and it's interesting, and I think it gets people excited about it. But I could totally understand why a company wouldn't want that kind of scrutiny, like that attention, hyper scrutiny. Tim, when we were hanging out in Austin, he was talking about how he got to do a tour of the Blue Origin plant. He can't really talk about it, but he did get to go see it, and he was just kind of like, they're going to have something that's just going to blow our minds. Yeah. Like, we're just all going to be just blown away by it. Mm-hmm. And it's got me excited. So, when I saw that they had that fairing video, I was like, we got to talk about that, because like we're finally starting to see stuff on the New Glenn, and that's crazy. It's cool. And speaking of Tim, it sounds like he has a video for us about Starship, I believe. Speaking of, let's see what he has to say.
Hi guys, how's it going? Sorry I'm not available to join in the actual live conversation this week. It's a big bummer to me. I'm unfortunately, bad news, I'm heading home for a funeral. It's no one in my family, but it's two of my best friends, they're brothers. Their father passed away really unexpectedly, and so I'm working my way home as we speak. And it's definitely not ideal, but this whole thing has turned into quite the little mini nightmare, I guess, as far as things go. So here's what happened. So I still don't have my car, which has been over 2 weeks now. So for those of you, if you're just happen to be tuning in, so I have a performance Model 3, a Tesla Model 3, and 2.5 weeks ago now, I randomly, while I was driving it through rain, gave me a whole bunch of warnings. Next morning, I could not get into the vehicle. So this is your update now on this progress. I thought it was going to be no big deal. Like I thought I'd be back in the car. Almost immediately, I assumed it was the 12-volt system because there's actually the main battery pack and there's the small battery pack. Well, a week goes into it, and finally I find out that no, it's indeed the high voltage battery pack. So they ordered that in, replaced it, told me on Monday, today is Wednesday as I'm recording this, by the way, Wednesday night, told me on Monday that everything's good to go, that they updated they got a new battery pack in there. They updated and gave me the full self-driving chip because I did prepay for full self-driving, way back when I ordered the car. So they updated the chip and everything's good to go. So I finally got over there this morning, Wednesday, and they're like, hey, when we pulled it around, we noticed something was not right. So we're going to just have our technicians check it out real quick before we send you off. Fast forward 2 or 3 or 4 hours later, I don't even know, a long time. And basically, I don't have the car still. So unfortunately, the car is going to stay down here in Florida. But I was planning to drive home. I was planning to drive home like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. So I've been kind of half marooned here, which isn't a bad thing because I'm working on kind of trying to relocate down here to Florida anyway. But it just was a real disappointment that I thought I finally was going to be able to drive home just the right amount of time to be able to get home. I was going to split it up in like 3 smaller driving days instead of 2 full ones. And unfortunately now the car is going to stay there until they get it fixed. I'm flying currently one way to home so I can be home for my friends and for their family. And then I'm going to be there until Tesla says it's good to go, then fly one way back and have to drive the car home. And I'll be home for the month of March while I hopefully continue to work on finding a place down here. So I can also finish my video that I finally shot and edited all the way through the dialogue cut. And I can add a whole bunch of extra things about the pollution, the rocket video that I've been working on for so long. But I wanted to give you guys some news updates because literally the night that last week's podcast came out, we got updates about Starship. So of course, SpaceX, this is going to be basically at this point, keeping up with Starship is a weekly thing easily. So here's what happened. Remember how they were building serial number 1, and the debate last week was kind of whether or not that'll have, how many engines that'll have, what it's going to do, blah, blah, blah. And Friday night, they took it out to test it, and it went kaboomy. They lost serial number 1 during a pressure test. So didn't have any engines involved, any engines on board. No personnel, of course, were hurt. They're following all their safety guidelines, which literally, when these things happen, anytime, even if a COPV, like a composite overwrap pressure vessel, is under pressure, a huge amount of safety precautions go in, and people can't even normally be around them except for under certain right conditions, especially when they're under cryogenic temperatures and things. There's all these protocols. So what ended up happening, they filled it up with liquid nitrogen, and they fill it up with liquid nitrogen quite a bit, and then they use just regular nitrogen, gaseous nitrogen, to pressurize the tanks and to get it up to operating pressure. This way they can test it at cryogenic temperatures. And remind you, serial number 1 was the first good-looking welds we've seen on Starship, quite frankly. This is the first one that looked like, hey, they're making some progress on these large welds. This is a 9-meter wide vehicle, so it has a huge circumference. It was the first time it was like actually starting to come together and look like, maybe they're making some progress. And they lost it. They lost it in pressure. We don't know at what pressure it ended up failing. And there's been a slew of reactions on all different fronts on this. A lot of people are like, see, they can't do it. And they're wasting their time building these things in a factory, in a field instead of a factory, and rushing through it. And then, of course, other ones are like, you only learn when you fail. And literally the day before that test, Elon had a speech with the Air Force where he mentioned like failure is, if you don't fail, you're not learning, you're not working hard enough, and you're not trying to make big enough improvements. Innovating, that's the right word. If you're not failing, you're not innovating, basically is what he said. And this is either biting him in the foot right now, or it's just really harping in that attitude. And here's why and I know this will come off as like, fanboy Tim, but here's why I think it doesn't matter. Let's put it this way. They can crank out these tanks. They're basic, they're just rings of stainless steel. I'm not saying that they don't cost a lot of money and have a lot of labor, but let's say they're $1 million or $2 million, I don't know, $1 million each. Who knows? I have no idea. Let's say they're $2 million. They could build 10 of these things. They could build 10 of these in the same amount of time that it took Boeing to build the single SLS tank and even get it remotely close to being tested for the first time. They could build 10, lose 10, still probably have a year and several $100 million. They could build 10 of these, lose 10 of these, build a whole factory, build 10 test stands, and still probably, just to put into perspective, so there's two sides of this coin. Is yes, it sucks that they're now kind of blown up too. We knew Mark 1 was going to blow up. Seal number 1, it's not sure how big of a deal it is, right? But put it into perspective that they built that in weeks, like 2 or 3 weeks for not a ton of money, at least aerospace money wise, not a lot of money, right? And they could just keep doing this. It would take a lot. They would have to fail like 100 times before it's actually going to be like, okay, we better slow down. Like, think about how cheap it is for them to do what they're doing. They're just cranking out these rings. They're welding them together. They're individually manufacturing the bulkheads. It's just like the bulkheads and the domes. And there's this, the lower thrust section, I guess, is called the puck now. And really, they could just keep going with it. Like, it's nothing to them, really. In the grand scheme of things, they're starting from the bottom. Like, they're starting at zero, and literally to the point where they don't even have a factory. Like, think about this. They're building a rocket before they have a factory. They're starting at like, what is off the shelf? What can we do to build this vehicle, period? And then make improvements upon that. Like, get it good enough to fly it, or get it good enough to pressure, get it good enough. And of course, they'll make incremental improvements. Like, this is SpaceX. This is exactly what I love about SpaceX, is this ability to literally just start from the bottom, start from what's physically possible and what can we do for the cheapest. When you look at when Falcon 9 was developed in Falcon 1, they did so many things that were just absolutely scoffed at in the industry. They were using, basically not space hardened hardware for their computers. They built their own, navigation computers, and they just used off-the-shelf hardware, off-the-shelf components, because they're like, you know what? These are 100 times cheaper. We'll make them triple redundant, and that way, everything on the vehicle is triple redundant. That way, it's like not a big deal if you lose one of them. Yeah, it's not space hardened, but it's off the shelf and way cheaper. And they were running literally like Cat5, like network cable through the vehicle instead of this crazy custom, all these different things that they were doing. And at the time, it was considered like, you guys are crazy. I can't even think of most of them, but so many of those things were just a blank slate. Like, let's start as cheap as we can go and then make improvements on it. And so you see that development. When you look at the Falcon 9, you see how initially, it wasn't rough around the corners. It was a bona fide rocket. Let's be clear about that. But compared to how refined they made it now, and same with the Merlin engine when you first saw it rolling out on the Falcon 1 compared to what that engine is now, and again, I'm sure the first 20, 30, 40 Merlin engines, they blew up, and they just did that because they're like, hey, we can crank these things out cheap. They made a production line. They just started cranking them out until they got it right, starting with a blank slate. And that's exactly what Starship is. And I know you're probably sitting there saying, of course Tim's going to say this. Of course Tim's going to defend this. But this is what I've been saying for a long time, is that we're seeing things because it's in public that you would not normally see any other time, right? That's not how this stuff. Normally, this stuff all happens behind closed doors in a military base, at Stennis or somewhere where you won't hardly hear a whisper when something fails. For instance, you can guarantee that Blue Origin's lost tons of not tons, but more than 0 BE4s, right? I mean, you can just absolutely assume that they've blown up several BE4s in the development. We just don't hear about that. We know when SpaceX blows up hardware because it's just physically, literally out in the open where people with prying eyes can see. So there's a little bit of a chicken and egg syndrome here. I don't know. It is a mix because some of it is just the fact that it's so much more open, obvious, transparent physically in the elements that we see more of this development. And the other part is that is SpaceX. We're going to build something cheap. We're going to just make it cheap, do it fast, break it, learn it, go on. Again, this is very similar to how the Soviet Union did this too. The Soviet Union, and arguably why they were so far ahead in the beginning until they arguably bit off more than they could chew with the N1, but was literally the same idea. You build hardware, you go out, you stick it on a stand, you see what blows up, and then you use that to make the next one better. You say, oh, this component failed. Okay, cool. Oh, now this component failed. Or, as opposed to a lot of people will just engineer something on paper, get it to be too good. And in doing so, you're spending a lot of extra time, money, engineering to make sure it's absolutely perfect. And then it's really hard to back up from there. It's really hard to know your weak points when everything's overbuilt, right? And if you just start at the ground up and you just start filling something up, seeing what happens, seeing what fails, you just get a totally different result. And this is where Elon is always saying he's not afraid to fail. He constantly talks about how failure is actually kind of a good thing. And I know that's weird. I know that's very backwards, and I know that's uncomfortable for a lot of us who grew up thinking I can't fail. That's such a terrible thing. But how much more do you learn when something goes wrong than? And again, I hope I'm not just sounding like a total fanboy, which of course I am. But at the same time, this is looking at this compared to SLS, where you can arguably say that they started building, Starship stuff, full-scale Starship stuff last summer, so summer 2019. And already they've built 2 now full-size prototypes and tested them to destruction. In the same time that so far Boeing they've done one fail to a structural failure test. And then now they're working one. Let's just put it this way. They took the SLS core out to do the green run, basically. And it's been out there for months now. I think it's all year, basically. All of 2020, SLS has been on a test stand. And it's not going to fire until April, May? Months, 4, 5 months just to fire it once. That's the opposite. That's where I would much rather someone build. And again, that's a several $100 million piece of machinery. Arguably, that's probably if they blew it up and they had to write the bill back to NASA, it'll likely be $300-400 million. And I guarantee you, if that happens, and if say something were to go wrong there, it's because it was so unbelievably more expensive, took so much longer. When something fails like that, yeah, that is a big deal. I'm not going to defend it in the same way that I'm defending someone putting together a bunch of rings and doing something cheap every 2 weeks. Those are different things. And that's kind of the beauty of what SpaceX is working on. That's my rant on why it's not a huge deal. And honestly, I think people are making, both sides are going nuts for this. And again, most of it's just because we're seeing it and we're seeing daily updates from people that are watching it, which is crazy cool for us, but it's also making us crazy sensitive and crazy overreactive too. But it's just all fun. It's super fun. I did want to mention real quick too, by the time you guys are listening to this, it will be basically tonight while you're listening to this, it will be the last Dragon 1 capsule to ever fly, hopefully if weather permits. But CRS-20, the last Dragon capsule under the first round of commercial resupply missions, is flying. It's going to be its last flight, and after this, they'll be going to Dragon 2, which is basically, the Dragon capsule, but the Crew Dragon capsule, sorry, but made as a cargo variant. So it's considered the Dragon 2. We will be seeing that fly from now on. So after this last one, it'll be the only one. Now, here's an interesting note, and I want to kind of look into this more and figure this out. But one interesting thing is that the Dragon 1, does the birthing mechanism, and then it docks, and I can't remember. After being birthed, it actually makes the hard connection. and I don't exactly remember offhand which node it is, but it's a much wider node than what the international docking adapter has on the Crew Dragon capsule. So they won't actually be able to return a full EVA spacesuit, or maybe I'm pretty sure it is an EVA spacesuit. They will not be able to return that anymore. Dragon's currently the Dragon 1, because it has the big enough port, is the only vehicle capable of actually returning a spacesuit. So I don't know what that really means. I don't know how often they need to come down for repairs. They do happen, but as far as I'm understanding, there's no other way to get it down safely anymore. Definitely won't fit in a Soyuz. And I'm pretty sure that Dragon 1 was the only one with a big enough docking port to actually be able to put the whole suit through it, and that they will not be able to do that on Dragon 2. Now, I need to maybe double check that, but I just thought that was an interesting note. But just wanted to send Dragon 1 off on a happy note, because it had an awesome career. I mean, the Dragon capsule has just been such a staple of 21st century spacecraft. It's just been a rock solid. It really only had problems, very first teething problems on its very first flight, which is understandable. And ever since then, it's just been a really, really solid ride. So congrats to the team at Dragon 1 and at SpaceX for getting your last one out the door and putting your last one up in space. And now all the teams are moving on to Dragon 2, which is just absolutely crazy. So, yeah. I'm sorry that I'm just having to record this and you're probably listening to phone audio since my little microphone ended up probably going dead. We'll probably just end up using the other audio the whole time, but I apologize for that. It's terribly echoey in here. But hopefully you can hear me okay. And thanks for your patience with everything. I know I've been running around like crazy so much that I hope it's not interfering with the show, because this is what was definitely one of my highlights each week. So I hope that I know there's a lot of cool Tesla news coming out this week. Hopefully it's better news than my Tesla and my news. So wish me luck, guys. I hope that I get Miko, main engine cutoff, my Tesla back very soon, and it's not going to be a big pain in the butt, because so far it's not been the experience I was hoping for at all. But maybe next time I get in, at least we'll have hardware 3 and the full self-driving chip, and hopefully it makes a big difference. So, all right, that's going to do it for me. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, and back to you guys.
Thanks, Tim, for that lovely update about Starship. Back to the show.
Dun, dun, dun.
So we got a couple more things coming out from Tesla that are interesting to talk about. One that actually may apply to Tim. I don't know. Tesla just launched Track Mode V2. Actually, I don't think he bought there was that whole debacle with, like, if you paid for full self-driving but didn't get the track package or this or that, like you didn't get all the things or whatever. It's kind of a confusion. But now Tesla has launched a $5,500, it's $5,500 for those metric folks, a Model 3 track package with new wheels and brakes, and more importantly, better controls over the car. So you see these new wheels here. They look kind of like the Roadster wheel, kind of like the brand new, upcoming Tesla Roadster wheel. It's a 5 double spoke kind of a thing. So there's like 5 spokes, but they're doubles, kind of spider web looking. They got some new brake pads, some new tires, some new things, all the stuff. They got these. Okay, so the full list of everything you get is a 4 20-inch by 9-inch 0G performance wheels. It has the logo caps, the lug nut covers, yada yada. The Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires, as I mentioned earlier, best tires you can buy, according to the people I know. Some tire pressure sensors, front and rear high performance brake pads, and then this track focused brake fluid. Okay, that thing. Okay. And they invited some lovely YouTubers out to go test this on a racetrack and a brand new car, and they're
all doing the same. Were they under contract to make that Jesus stance there? Like,
this is just okay. Well, what's this guy's name? The Everything Apple Pro guy is not. He's got the arms folded, but Salamandra in here. I don't know this girl's name. Anyways, yeah. So some kind of like, I don't know what. Yeah. Some YouTubers, we'll say, couple car people, couple tech people. I wasn't one of them. I don't even care. I think it's awesome that they invited people. I don't know. I would love to do it, of course, but I'm not really like a car guy doing these things.
Yeah.
So anyways, it's not my bag. But super cool. And in the videos, they have some clips here. Oh, probably the one that I would recommend watching, and not to diss anyone else there, but I really like Parker at Vehicle Versions. And so he got to go there as well. I don't know why Electric didn't include him in this article, but in it, you can control kind of really fine-tuning that track mode settings in this new version. So the concepts are oversteer, understeer. Here you have you have controls for handling. It's just called handling balance, stability assist, regen braking, compressor overclock. You can record a video. You can even adjust which tires have which amount of traction and everything. It's insane what you can do now. And I think the overall message I get here is it just speaks to Tesla's advantage, considering the car is so software driven.
Yeah.
One of the
tweak so many things.
Yeah, you can literally control everything. It's incredible. And so from Parker's video I saw, he was saying, it feels like a 2,000 horsepower supercar, but it's a Tesla Model 3. So pretty cool stuff. And if you guys have this, or if you have a Model 3 Performance, you should be able to, I don't know, can you buy it already? Let's go see the Tesla shop, if it's on there or not. Yeah, it may be coming out soon. It might not be something, or I bet you it's one of those things where it shows up in the upgrades in the app. So on the app, there's that upgrade section now. I bet you if you have a Model 3 Performance, but you probably have to have the performance package as well, not just the performance model, right? So you get the bigger rotors and the different brakes. It's lowered. It has the little spoiler thing. It kind of has some more accents and stuff like that. So, yeah,
cool.
You're gonna buy it?
Probably not. You know what? I really would love to actually take a performance Model 3 on a track and just kind of have that experience, because I've never really been a car guy either, and I've certainly never been a performance car track kind of guy, but it just seems like it'd be a fun thing to do.
Yeah. I'll tell you, driving that Porsche Taycan, which is the most insane track kind of car I've ever driven, it blew my mind. I had a blast just driving on the freeways, and then driving through the mountains a little bit. It was nuts, man.
Cool.
But it's definitely not for the faint of heart. It's an intense experience. It's not just it's not like that calm Zen happiness. It's more like the I just played sports and won the championship happiness.
You're gonna go to Disney World.
That's right. Speaking of Disney World, I don't know why.
Sure. Entertainment.
This is huge, but it's such a niche, tiny topic that I don't think it's going to get any coverage. Tesla is now offering an infotainment upgrade for Model S and Model X. So that big, beautiful 17-inch portrait mode screen in the middle for the S and X does not have, the older ones, they have what's known as MCU1. Now, MCU1 is missing a ton of features, such as the ability to do Netflix, even things like Sentry Mode, I believe it doesn't have, and some of these other more advanced features, some of the newer ones, Spotify, all that kind of stuff. Actually, no, I think Spotify's there. But point being, there was this issue of it sucks that I have this $100,000 car that's 2 years old, and it's a dog now when it comes to how the computer works. Well, you can now upgrade that to the MCU2 for $2,500. And this is right in line with what Elon had said. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of weird. It removes AM/FM radio and Sirius XM. I don't know why. So apparently those are not available if you do this upgrade.
Yeah, I don't have Sirius XM in my car.
Oh, do you not?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I know they removed AM radio a while ago, which really frustrated me. Not that I listen to AM radio a lot, but there's that funny trick you can do where you tune an AM radio all the way down to like 500 or the lowest setting, and the radio picks up the electromagnetic frequency from the motor.
Oh.
And it makes it sound like a Ferrari or something.
Oh, cool.
So you're driving around, and it's like, wow, wow, wow.
Just for that trick alone, it's worth having.
Totally, yeah. It's awesome. It's definitely one of the coolest things.
Can you pull that up again, what you just had up on your screen?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to ask about the screen on that Model S there. That's like the old school operating system, isn't it?
Yeah, this is some fake nonsense. They just did that.
Okay.
This is a Model X, and
oh yeah, you can see where it's cropped in right there with the Netflix logo. So the old Model S's don't still have that design, right? Okay,
no,
I didn't think so.
Yeah, I remember when I got my car in 2016, I was like, God, these icons are just like ugly and 90s looking. Like, what is going on? Because at the time, like flat icons.
The very first time I ever got into a Model S, and it was one of the earlier ones, I was able to get in one just to check it out. I was not a fan of the OS. I thought it was really ugly looking and old.
Yeah.
It looked like Netscape or something.
Right.
And anyway, it's much cleaner now. I like it now. It's good. But
as a former Mozillian, I take offense to that. But
well, but I saw that on the screen. I was like, whoa, what are those? Are they still working on that old software?
No,
that's crazy.
No. It's all updated now.
Okay, well, good.
But I have to say that the only thing odd about this, besides the removing of AM, FM, and Sirius radio, which I think some people will be upset about, because Sirius is like a good thing that a lot of people like. Yeah,
my wife has it and she loves it.
I mean, I know people, if you road trip a lot, like people swear by it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, and then you see all the hardcore fans, hardcore Tesla fans being like, yeah, AM, FM radio's stupid anyways. Who wants that? Like, you ever be in an emergency situation when the internet's down? The radio is actually a very useful thing, okay?
Yeah.
Anyways.
I never listened to radio, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't exist, you know?
See, it's interesting. I do a lot because, just streaming sometimes sucks and it doesn't work, you know, and it trips up. And so I hit like NPR news on the way into the office or taking my son to school all the time, you know. It's nice, like it's almost like regular broadcast TV where, you know, I have this whole theory, like you have a certain number of decisions that you make before your decision power just, you're like, I guess it's willpower. It's like an exhaustible resource.
It's a decision fatigue.
Yeah, right. You get to the point where you're like, I don't care. Yeah. Just give me whatever.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so radio and broadcast TV remove the need to make that decision.
Yeah.
You know, in some extent. So I don't have to think, oh, which podcast should I listen to? Oh, let me go look. Oh, I have 500 things I could choose.
Yeah.
No, like just click, boom. Okay, something is on.
It's actually it's funny that you say that, because like it's very rare that I just watch TV anymore, and I cut the cord, so I use YouTube TV now for any
which
kind of...
is fantastic.
It's actually pretty great.
Love
yeah.
YouTube TV. Yeah.
It's got like 1 million sports channels, which I don't really follow sports, so it's kind of wasted on me. But like recently, I actually had an evening where I wasn't slammed because I need to work on productivity clearly, but I got on YouTube TV and just started like scrolling through channels like we used to do, and it was kind of like,
oh, what's that?
Yeah, and I just kind of stumbled on things that I wouldn't have normally found. There's something a lot more calming and relaxing about that than like, you know, scrolling through Netflix for an hour to try to find something to watch for 20 minutes while I'm having lunch or something, you know?
Well, what we end up doing is watching trailers all night for movies, and then we never end up watching the movie. We get too tired and we just go to bed. We say, forget it.
Yeah. Whereas if you were just scrolling through TV, you would just find something and
it was just on. Yeah. You know, and from a technical standpoint, I would love to talk to like a network engineer that really understands this deeper than I do. But streaming YouTube TV somehow does it incredibly well, where the quality is just always great. But like Netflix, for example, it has a whole algorithm about like, let's start streaming in like a really low resolution that looks like crap, and then, you know, get better after a few seconds, so it like kind of clears up and all this. Mm-hmm. Streaming is very hard. And broadcast over radio waves is actually a beautiful technology when you think about it, because instead of having a massive central place that has all this power to beam to send out that signal direct to all the consumers, and the more people on it, the bigger and beefier this centralized infrastructure has to be. It's the exact opposite. It's a distributed one. We have a radio tower that just broadcasts this thing a million miles, and there could be 5 or 500 million people on the other end listening, and it doesn't change at all what the technical requirements of that signal being sent out, other than the distance itself, which, that's just physics. That's just a thing you have to deal with. Yeah. So I actually think that there's a lot of merit to those technologies. In fact, I even installed at our house an HD antenna, TV antenna, a while ago, because you can buy them for like $60 or $70 and just mount it on the roof, run it down. And now we had like 35, because we cut the cord 15 years ago, so we haven't had anything. And yeah, like we had KPBS, which is like the local PBS station here, kids programs, things that my son would never watch, but once they come on, he's like, oh, this is great.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, just because something's new and shiny doesn't mean it's inherently better. I guess there is merit to things like AM, FM radio, and broadcast TV.
It doesn't mean that the older model doesn't still serve a function. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Long rant there about.
I'm with you.
It's interesting though, just how we go through and how people are very quick to dismiss something just because it's not the new thing, without considering the value of what it is. Like I think analog stuff, like have you ever listened to like a tube amplifier and speaker system, like a very analog but high-end speaker system? Man, it's incredible. Yeah. It blows away your digital stuff, like in every regard. Now granted, a good system like that is like $15,000. So it's not for everyone.
They're like custom made.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool. I like that. Anyways, I like the idea of not just throwing out something because it's old.
Sure.
Because I'm getting old and I don't want to get thrown out.
If I can find it, I was gonna pull it up really quick. Of course, it's not gonna show it to me now. There's a new thing that I've just completely fallen in love with on YouTube. It's just become my new favorite thing. There's this one specific channel called My Analog Journal. And it's basically a guy. Let me see if I can pull it up. It's basically a guy just doing a DJ set in his home, and he's from Istanbul, and
is that Constantinople?
Once was. Anyway, but
old reference there.
I'll pull it up here. But he basically he has 2 turntables and a microphone. And he just plays music, and it's all like, this one's like rare Japanese records. Obviously you can't hear it right now, but he just has some cool stuff that he finds.
Yeah.
Is it playing? Yeah, it's playing. He's just standing there. But anyway, that's all it is right here. And then every once in a while he'll like cut to another shot of him.
That's so cool.
And
yeah, I've got a friend here in San Diego that's doing a thing like this. His name's Gibran, or we just call him G, where he went to Japan recently, and they had these what are they called? Long play cafes, I think it's called. And so what it is there's various ways to do it, but imagine like a little coffee shop where they have a DJ playing an album, but the DJ isn't there like scratching or doing anything like that.
Right.
And he's playing the entire album. So like they'll have a Miles Davis, Bitches Brew, and they'll play the entire 3.5 hours or whatever it is. And the idea is you sit there and you have your coffee or your whatever, and you enjoy like music in its fullness, and their whole setup that they do. Right now it's like a little pop-up shop. Their whole setup is all analog like this. It's a record and tube amplifiers and those kind of things.
It's like you have your own DJ in your home, just playing really weird, interesting music that you never would have found yourself. And there's something about the way he cares for the records. He like gets out this little, I don't know if you can see my arrow over here, but this little, he gets out this little microfiber thing, and he like cleans the record, and like the care that's taken in it. It's just so like, it's such a throwback to now. It's just like Spotify playlists or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's this guy who's like really like caring about what he's doing, and he's like tweaking the knobs, and just kind of like watching him do what he does. I don't know, it's engrossing.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
For our off-grid property, we're going to have stuff like that where it's all like there'll be electricity, but for music, we're going to have records and a record player, and you're just going to have to choose one and put it on.
Yeah.
You know, like that. Did you stay at the hotel with us for Cybertruck?
Yeah.
And they had a record player.
They did have record players there. That's right.
Yeah. I like that. I like the concept of being a little analog, and you know, the nice idea is like it forces you into doing or like experiencing some form of media in maybe a way that you wouldn't decide to yourself, right? When you just put a record on it, like the song's over, you're not going to go change it. It's like a pain in the butt to deal with all that.
Yeah.
So you let it play, and now you know you're being pushed and nudged in different areas, and I think that it's growth is what it comes down to, you know.
Yeah. And I think that it's just experiencing music in a different way than we do. Like, it's just kind of on in the background for most of us nowadays. But like, once upon a time, you would put on a record, throw some headphones on, lay back in bed, and just listen to it.
Sit there and listen. Yeah. Like music nowadays, it's weird. Like, I don't understand.
We sound like old men right now. I don't get the music these days, these little kids.
Well, it's really curious. Like music is such an interesting, amazing thing because there's so many different ways to appreciate it and all that. But I do not find myself hardly at all knowing like the name of a song or lyrics or things. Like I just hear a thing. I'm like, oh yeah, I like that song. Who is it? I don't even know who it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, I mean, I could remember when Nevermind came out, going to what was it called? Zia Records in Phoenix, and not buying a record, but buying a CD. And like I had my portable thing, and literally just like being on my skateboard, had some like nacho cheese Doritos, sitting there just like listening to that for hours. You know what I mean? It's like it's just this different experience, and I wish younger generations, I guess, would appreciate those things, or you know, find a way to do that.
I'm not trying to say that they don't, or that they don't enjoy music in their own way, and that it's not meaningful to them in a different way. But it's just a different way of experiencing it.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I think we've exhausted our old man.
Everyone's
rant.
gone now. Yep. Well, speaking of old men, what do you have going on for next week there, old man? I don't know.
I have a video on old men, apparently. No, asteroid mining. Gonna talk about asteroid mining.
Did you read the book Delta V from Daniel Suarez?
Reading. No.
Back in my day.
No, I haven't read that, but you've
because it's all about asteroid mining. Yeah.
The Expanse. I mean, it's funny how I'm like looking at some of this stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, they're totally doing all that in The Expanse. That's like what it is. But it's an interesting subject. There's a lot of valuable stuff out there in asteroids, and there's some asteroids that were literally once the cores of small planets that got obliterated in the early universe. So a lot of the more valuable heavy metals, like even gold, because of gravity and because they're heavy in the early Earth, they sunk down to the core. So that's what's kind of cool about a lot of asteroids is they didn't have a lot of gravity to push the metals down to where it's hard to get to. It's just like on the surface of the asteroids. But then there are some that were once small planets that got obliterated. So their core is like literally just a big giant hunk of metal.
Nice.
Of iron and nickel and gold. And there's some out there that are valued at over like $1 quadrillion worth of.
Right. But that's the value, if I understand right, is to not bring it back to Earth, right?
Like if you brought it all back at once, everything would fall apart.
Right. But the point, it's more valuable to like capture those things and keep them in space, if I understand. Maybe that was just one
I talk a little bit about that. Yeah. I mean, it actually, the value is about like creating way stations and building things from the materials on those asteroids to expand Like the
Right.
expands. Yeah.
Yeah, because the cost, like let's say gold was plentiful here and cost 0, the cost of getting that much gold up into space would be
Right.
insanely expensive
Right.
anyways. So if
Yeah.
you can just wrangle it up there, not only is it, the material value here on Earth, the value of it in space is even higher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When what's even more valuable than gold is water in space.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And there's plenty of that too. So it's interesting.
Do you talk about the N-body problem at all? Like, how are we going to find an asteroid to get?
No.
Am I making your work harder?
Well, I haven't recorded this yet, so we'll see what winds up in it.
Well, I'm just so the N-body problem. If just to recap, is like we can't calculate how every celestial body works in conjunction with the other one. So if we go push something this way, what's going to happen to it? It is not entirely like we don't have a mathematical proof of that yet. So we can't say for certain what's going to happen. This is why, like, will an asteroid ever hit Earth? It's like maybe. Like we cannot answer that until it's way too late. Right? Because there are a bazillion asteroids and we don't have the math to calculate exactly where they're going to go because of how they interact and how when they interact it creates a chain reaction. It's kind of like chaos theory, right?
Yeah,
Where why can't we predict weather more than 3 days out? It's because the models go either it's fiery hell or freezing ice age after about 7 days. So you're like, I don't know, let's just go with the average.
Yeah. That probably won't make its way into this video very much, but that sounds like fodder for an entire video of its own.
Yeah. Like, how do you find an asteroid to wrangle and calculate what, how to go get it?
Yeah.
I think that's like a really
There's a
hard
lot
problem.
to it, yeah.
Yeah.
What about
Sweet. I'm looking forward to that. God, I don't know. Am I even doing videos anymore?
you? What's a YouTube channel?
Yeah. I've got a couple. So we just dropped the Model 3 2-year review, and that totally sucked because when I exported it, there was some missing media files, and so there were moments of like the red Adobe Premiere, like missing media.
Oh, yeah.
And so I had to re-upload it, and I didn't know that when you re-upload a video, YouTube brings out the flogging material and just whips you. So not enough people saw that video, which kind of sucks. But if you guys haven't seen that and you're still listening, me and Jenny spent about 20 minutes talking about our experience with the Model 3 after 2 years. So that was that video. Next week I've got a couple ones I'm doing. One is, what if we all switch to electric cars? What would happen to the grid? Because
we hear a lot of people saying stuff like that, or about that would be a problem.
Gas doesn't, like, you could have 1 million more gas cars and it doesn't affect the grid at all because the energy doesn't come from the grid. So, but what if LA, for example, a city with 7.6 million vehicles, all switched to electric overnight? What would happen? And so I modeled some of that and have some calculations trying to answer that question. So that's what I'm working on right now. It's actually really hard to track down some of these sources on these things. You see someone with a blog post and you're like, oh, great. And then, then you're like, wait a minute, I need to verify this. And then someone else has a slightly different number. So it takes, so anyways, so that's one's in the works. Another one is I took a little camper out with my Model 3.
Cool.
So I towed a camper kind of shell, like trailer, with my Model 3, and I did some measurements there about efficiency and range and all those kind of things, because even though the Model 3 doesn't have that, the Model Y will. And I know in Europe, it's real common from my friends over there that tell me to have a tow hitch on even just a regular sedan, because they don't have trucks. It's not super common to have a big honking truck. So if you need to go to IKEA and pick up something, or you need to move something, you just rent a trailer for the day with your, Toyota Corolla or whatever, and you can pull an amount. So with an electric car, that's an extra challenging problem because, we can't just refill it in 5 minutes anywhere you want. You have to, charge and things like that. So since I have a tow hitch on my Model 3, took it out for a drive and did some data on it. And so one or both of those videos are coming out next week.
Cool. Yeah, I remember you sent the picture of the the trailer on there. I didn't know what I was looking at first. I thought it was like a World War II cannon or something.
Oh, that's not a bad guess. So it's basically like a bed of an old Jeep from World War II.
Okay.
It actually, that was converted into a trailer.
That's funny.
And then they put like I don't know what you call it, like almost like a roof rack on top of the trailer bit, or top of kind of like the truck bed. And then they put a tent, one of those tents that unfolds and is super massive with like a ladder to get into it. They put that on top of it. So that was my buddies over at EV West. Like their plan originally with that was because I didn't show it in there, but the like truck bed part of that opens, and it's like, you know, this full size trailer you can just throw stuff in. Their vision, which they haven't realized yet, was to load that thing up with like an entire Model S battery pack. So like 70, 80 kilowatt hours, 100 kilowatt hours of extra energy in there. And then these guys love taking dirt bikes out to the dunes and stuff, which is like in between Southern California and Arizona. So taking that out there with their Model S that they hooked up with the tow hitch, and then just charging while they're there on that, like bring solar panels and just like do this kind of off-grid charging thing. But you know, it's more challenging than it may seem, and finding time to do it is also a challenge.
So I would imagine you couldn't just like run the car off of that battery. You would have to like charge off of it later on, right?
Yeah. You can't charge the car can't drive when the charge port is open.
Okay.
I mean, you potentially could hack that and trick it.
I was about to say, like, go in and actually attach it to the battery somehow, so like the two batteries are now one battery or something.
Yeah.
Totally
like
void your warranty.
Oh, this whole thing is off. I mean, what I'm thinking about doing actually with them, this is like a separate side project, is buying an older Model S that has the rear-facing child seats, but has like a 70, 75 kilowatt hour battery pack, and swapping that out with like a 90 or 100, if I can find a 100 one, so that, because I really want the rear-facing child seats in the Model S. I just think it would be, for my kids, it'll be the funnest thing ever. And the Model S is a great car to camp in because you can fit a full-size bed when all the seats and everything are flat. So I'm thinking about doing that with them, because what we do is we'll take the 75 pack out of the Model S and sell all of those modules online, and then that will pay for a salvaged, 90 kilowatt hour pack from another Model S and install that. So yeah, this is completely void of any warranty or anything like that. But all in, that whole thing would probably cost like $60,000. So it's still far cheaper than like trying to buy a new one.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
we'll see. Fun projects. Those guys are so cool to work with. So
yeah. Well, cool, man. I think that's it for today.
That's it. So we'll see you
in
our ludicrous future.
Thanks for watching. Hey, thanks so much for listening. If you like what we do and you want to kind of help get it out there, you can give us a nice review on any of your podcast streaming platforms, whichever one you use. That kind of helps get it out there. Also, we do have a Patreon set up, so you can join us there at patreon.com/ourludicrousfuture. You can get your name in the credits, meet a whole other group of like-minded people. It's a lot of fun. We do appreciate it. We'll see you there. Thanks.